The beloved annual Rockabillaque is celebrating a decade of bringing the past alive at a festival of all things mid-century, from classic cars to pinups to pompadours. Well, this time warp wouldn't be complete without some ink. So let's welcome tattoo artists Chris Jones and Kevin Cutter Van Way. Good to have you guys with us.
Thanks for having us.
I'm admiring all of your ink here today. Thank you for bringing it with you.
Yeah, right.
Don't
leave home.
Almost left it home.
Yeah.
You're also the owner of Stardust Tattoo Studio.
I am.
And I have to imagine, Kevin, that before you actually started putting your art on people's skin, that you started on another medium. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Or okay.
Yeah.
So what did you discover that you had that artist living inside of you?
I don't know. As far back as I can remember, I wanted to be heavily tattooed.
Really?
Yeah, that was my first thing, was I wanted to be tattooed. And growing up in a pretty conservative house, I was like, how am I going to do this and pay bills? You know what I mean?
It often happens that way, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it really does. So when I started tattooing, my parents thought I was joining a circus.
Yeah.
I
But
think
you
it just started with drawing and,
Yeah.
just being creative. You know
Right.
what I mean?
And how about for you, Chris?
Same thing. I want to be heavily tattooed, but I grew up drawing and I want to be a cartoonist, and then joined the military, and some guys like, oh, you should tattoo, and then it kind of just spiraled from there, and then here I am.
And we were talking about body. We were talking about body percentage before we got started here. And as far as percentage of tattoos covering you, what would you say that looks like?
Probably like 70.
Is that right?
I literally only have like some spots on my torso that are kind of left, and that's
really?
it. Yeah.
And how about for you, Kevin?
Yeah, probably about the same. Just my ribs and my back left.
Gosh, because I'm looking at your arms and I can see down your legs. Are you hoping to fill in all those blank spots eventually?
Oh,
I
yeah.
would like to, but I mean, the older you get, the worse it gets. Chances are this probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
I'm doing it still.
Yeah.
Do you have any in particular that have a deep, deep meaning for you?
I think so.
I got this one right here from my grandparents who raised me. But like other than that, really, like I have like some sentimental stuff, like ones I got with people and things like that. But even if I don't talk to those people anymore, it's still a memory, good or bad.
Yeah.
So, I keep it.
So going back to being an artist, though, first, you can easily erase or paint over a mistake, but you've entered a career path where you cannot get it wrong. There is risk attached at every moment that you perform a tattoo.
Yeah, but it's the same with anything else. You know what I mean? You got to know how to pick up your mistakes and correct it, in the process, like you literally do. To believe that any human can do anything without making some sort of mistakes that's just bonkers to believe. You know what I'm saying? Like,
True.
Even surgeons don't have the steadiest hands every day. So,
that is true.
It
is a little bit like you're performing surgery in a way. I mean,
I always kind of do that with
That's a
doctors.
stretch, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on who you ask. I mean, if you're getting a tattoo and you're committing to it, that's a huge, huge risk that you're taking.
Yeah, I always tell people, doctors are not, it's not a profession, it's a practice. And so is tattooing, it's a practice. You're always constantly working to get better and do different things. So we're practicing tattooers.
And so when people come in and they say, I want this, does a therapist side come out and say, you know what, you might not be happy with that down the road. Maybe consider doing this instead.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you don't want people, it depends on what they're open to, like the correspondence between you and the client is super important, like you don't tattoo babies' moms' names on kids' necks. You know what I mean? You don't do things like that. So I feel like tattoo polices itself to some degree, but then again, the popularity of it right now is so out of control. You got kids that are just doing whatever they can do to survive in this industry.
What about someone who walks in and says, I met the love of my life, I want their name tattooed all the way down my arm?
All the time,
Yeah, it happens. I mean, at some point too, that's our job as well, So our job is to give them the haircut they want,
Yeah.
True.
So our job is that also, but our job, I think, is to advise. You got kids running around out there who have only their hands and their neck tattooed and they have no other tattoos. It's like, they're 19 years old. It's like, what are you gonna do to get a job, dude? Like, you got your neck tattooed at 19. Like, I didn't even get my hands tattooed until I was already in the military like 18 years before that happened.
Oh wow. Okay.
You know what I mean? So like, I already had a job and a
it.
career and things going for me. And these kids are starting off with their hands or their fingers or their neck. It's like,
Yeah.
Maybe
That
hold
stuff
off.
didn't happen in like the early days, for early days of me getting tattooed in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, you started with like, everybody started right here on their arm. Everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Right. I know that's always the
Yeah.
common spot, right? Well, I've got about a million other questions to ask you,
fine.
gentlemen. However, we do have an event that's going to be taking place called Rockabillaque. This is happening at Park Circle.
The 10th year.
The 10th year. So a whole
right.
decade of doing this is fantastic. I love this event. You're going to be judging a tattoo contest.
We are hosting the contest.
That's great.
We're not actually going to judge it, so.
You'd probably
Conflict
be
of
pretty-
interest.
I was going to say
Yeah.
be tough judges too.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what makes a good tattoo real quick? What would be a winner in
Solid
your eye?
lines, smooth shading,
Bright colors.
bright colors.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to put all the information up on our screen. Rockabillaque. It's coming up. It is happening starting Friday, November 17th through Sunday. So make sure you get your tickets. You go out and you have a good time, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Great to have you with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
We're back after this.